Hey everybody, I decided to do something different for today's post instead of my usual written post that is sent out on Monday mornings. And I've had several people ask me for something like this recently. And so today it fits well with what I've been talking about recently with your Substack being an ecosystem. And what we're going to do is we're going to walk through setting up your Substack homepage. Now, this is most applicable if you have around 20 posts at least. If you only have 4 or 5 posts, the colors, fonts, logos, things like that will still be applicable to you. But when I get to the part where I start talking about layouts, that might be something that's more usable for you a little bit down the road. So I'm going to share my screen, and I have completely dismantled one of my Substacks, my herbalist one. So it looks similar or as close as I can get it to look to a new Substack, and we are going to go through and build it together. All right, so here I am on my Substack Willow Rose Botanicals, and this one is, I have completely dismantled it. I have all my color codes written down and made sure all my documents and things were saved so I can put everything back the way it was. So I already have my hero post. It is pinned at the top of my page. So this is called the feature layout, and below I just have all my most recent posts. I have not turned on any custom layouts yet. Everything is really straightforward. I have my notes, archive, and about. This is usually what you start with on the navigation bar when you're starting a brand new Substack. So we are going to go into the dashboard and we're going to start playing around here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the website editor on the left side menu. And we're going to play with the layout of the website editor, and then we'll come back to the navigation bar later on. So I do have the custom theme, of course. Otherwise, if it was on Match Profile, then it would just be about my profile and not about the home page here. But I have the custom theme, I have the home page, the about page, all those things. So we have some options right away on the right for the home page. Let me back up a step. The first navigation in the website editor is on the left. So this gives you your home page, your header, your hero. This is the header at the top. This is the hero. This is the body of the Substack. And then below that, we have a footer. And this is the footer here. So each of these things can be customized now on Substack. We'll come back to the welcome page after. So on the right side, now that we've clicked on homepage, which you are automatically there, the first thing we can do is start changing our colors. So I'm going to update this to the color codes from my brand kit, and my background color is this one, and we will save that. And then I'm going to change my accent color. And that one is 94A47E. Save that. And I'm going to change my header color as well. This is optional. You can make it match your background if you want to, but I'm going to use a custom color here as well. And this is going to be AF698A. And we'll save that. All right, and that's what I'm going to do for now. You can see it's still a little glitchy. Like, I have actually changed this and I did click save, but it kind of tends to glitch out a little bit sometimes. And then you just kind of have to be patient with it, keep working with it, and then I'll just save things there. All right, so now we have these changes saved. I'll come back to the subscribe in a bit. My word mark right now is just the title of my Substack. And then I can also change fonts. So I can change the font for this. I'm not going to bother because I have a custom word mark I'm going to put in place. I can also change my font now for my post titles. You can see how that looks as I scroll through them. I actually like a couple of them. That would be interesting. I prefer serifs to sans serif for titles myself, so I'm just kind of checking out the options here. I think I'm going to go with Laura. Would be nicer if it was a little more bold, but that's okay. We're going to leave it at that. Your images that show here, I use smart cropping. You can also use center so that it focuses on the center of the image instead of deciding where it should crop. And it really depends on what you're using for images. Smart cropping works better if you have people in your images. It will focus on the face. Generally speaking, it does mess up sometimes. And center can work better if you have, like I do, I have some words and things like that that constantly get cut off in smart cropping. So maybe I want to actually use the center cropping. You can also round your corners. So you can leave it as none. You can change it to default, which is slightly rounded. And you can also make things a little more rounded depending on what you want. I think I'm going to go with medium. And then the last thing I want to do for the home page is turn on the custom body layout. This will give me the option to change all of this below here. So let's click that. And then for now, we're going to just leave that and save. And then we're going to start working through on the left side menu what it is that we want to change. So first I'm going to click on the header. This is where I can upload my logo. So logos, as you probably know, should be 500 by 500 square, should not be a, sorry, I can't find my logo and talk at the same time. They should not be a PNG with a transparent background. A JPEG just works just fine. Finding images is always fun. And then I also want to add in my word mark here. Word marks are 1344 pixels wide by 256 pixels tall, and they do need to have a transparent background if you wanted them to show up the best. You can put in an image with a background, it just doesn't give you the same ability to do sizing like this one does. So now, generally speaking, you start with a standard layout. I'm just going to save that for now and go back in. I prefer to do other layouts just for fun. I'm actually going to use the inline. This hides the logo, but it has now my word mark is up at the top, and I'm going to make that a little smaller, like so. Navigation, I'm going to actually change to buttons, and we will save that. Okay, so now I'm happy with the header for now. I want to change the navigation, but I'll come back to that. We're going to move on to the hero. So the hero is this top section. Now, I know it can be a little confusing because we also call the pinned post the hero post. You have several different options for this section of the layout, however. Everyone starts with the feature layout. Another one you can do right off the bat is the media feature, which kind of makes it more of a visual banner, which can look really nice. But these two work when you're just starting because they only have one post in them. When you have more posts, then you can do the newspaper layout or the magazine layout or a highlight block. And either of these will work. If you don't have enough posts to fill them, the missing spots will show as grayed out spots. So it doesn't look the nicest, which is why I say you wait till you have more posts and then start playing around with the layout. So we're going to save that. So that's the hero section. And then below the hero section, we have the body of our Substack with all the layout options. But before I get into that, I'm going to drop down to the footer. And right now I don't have any footer, which is typical when you turn on custom layouts. And I'm going to add a footer. I like the 2-column footer. So it has a little information on the left and then my subscribe bar on the right. And I am going to change this to that background. And then I have a publication banner on the bottom, and I'm going to change this to a different color altogether. It is going to be this one, 60. Save. Okay, and that's great so far. So I have my Instagram linked, and so it will show here. You can add in, if you have TikTok, YouTube, any Facebook or anything like that, you can add that and you'll have the string of icons below your subscribe bar here. You do have to add them in the footer section. Adding them to your profile puts them in a different place, but if you want them here in the footer, then this is where you add them. Okay, so I am happy with this. I have the word mark in the bottom. I have this. All right, so now let's go back to this section. All right, so this is where we get to play around with what we want the layout to look like. So I'm first going to click on the home page because I actually don't want this list here. So I'm going to click to add block. I can't just delete this one when it's the only block there. And first I'm going to add a feature block. And then from here, this is where you can use your tags and sections to get a really nice layout on your home page. So I'm going to leave this as the focus left and list right. But I'm going to change it from recent posts. I'm going to click a tag, and I'm going to go to stress resilience. So this will be any post that I have tagged with this, and I can save that. And then now I can go in here and I can click the 3-dot menu and remove this block. And now I'm just going to add some more blocks in here. So I'm going to add a subscribe block next. And this is a pretty basic one. I am putting in my logo, so you have the option to add a logo there. I'm going to use my custom colors, and I'm going to make it like this. And then I can put in my message for non-subscribers and message for free subscribers. And save. Okay. So there's that. Kind of bringing all of my 3-4 colors into my Substack that I use on my website. So now I'm going to add another block here, and I'm going to use posts and modules, but personally I don't care for the list. I prefer the grid, and I'm just going to do one row, and instead of recent posts, I'm going to do one of my other tags. Let's do family herbalism. And you notice I only have 3 posts right now tagged as this, and so I end up with this grayed out spot here, which is what happens when you don't have enough posts to fill. But what I'm going to do is add a module on the side, which will get rid of that empty spot. And I'm going to add in my links here and save that. And then I'm going to add another block. This one's also going to be posts and modules, and I'm going to do a grid. And this one's going to be restoring mothers. Again, I'm going to do one row, and again, I'm going to add a module. And this one will have my recommendations. Let's save that. Okay, and then I'm going to add another block. You can see how you can just kind of keep going and going. I believe there's 10 spots. Last I checked, you can do 10 different places along your Substack. This one, first of all, let me decide what I want it to be. I'm going to do this one is a bigger category, and I'm going to do focus left and grid. Or no, I think I'll do that. We'll save that. And one more. posts and modules, a grid, and this time it's going to be my herbal studies. You can see how centering isn't working as good for these posts. My center focus instead of the smart focus. So I might actually change that so these show up properly. I think I will leave it with 2 rows though. Kind of like that. Yeah, so again, when you do this, one thing you need to make sure, of course, is that all of your posts get tagged. So if you do not tag a post, it's missing from this layout. My one tag called psycholiteracy, I did not put in here, partly because it's only these 2 posts right now. And so they're just hanging out at the top there. I'll worry about adding those in later. Okay, so now we have a really great branded layout. Part of the branding of this layout is the images that I use in my posts. It's not just the layout or the background colors. The images bring it together. So if you don't have branded images or you don't have a consistent look among your images, it can be a little harder to create this kind of polished, finished look, if that's what you're looking for. Not everybody wants that. Some people are quite happy with a collection of essays that have their own unique image on each one and then just a colored background. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you do decide that you want to have the branded images and things like that, then Canva is a really great place to create those. Which reminds me, if you would like a Canva workshop, drop a comment below and let me know, and I will create one. I need to do a workshop this summer, I think, anyways, and that might be a good one, is how to create images for your posts using Canva. So just an idea, and we'll see if everybody would be wanting something like that. All right, so I'm going to go back to this cropping and I'm going to change it to smart. And yes, that definitely works better. So we're going to save that. I'd rather have the words in these ones maybe trimmed slightly than to have the faces of this artwork that my daughter did for me completely cut off. So that's more important to me. And now let's go visit the welcome page. So this is the first page that people will see when they come to your Substack and decide to subscribe. So I've uploaded a welcome page image here. This image needs to be at least 600 by 600 pixels. It doesn't have to be square. Obviously, this one is not. It can be a banner image. It can be a portrait image. It's totally up to you. I like using a banner image personally. This one has a transparent background, but they don't have to have a transparent background. Completely up to you. Now, the other thing I want to do is, because I already have Willow Rose in the image, I'm actually going to not show the name. So this is going to take the place of the name. And then the other thing I always like to do is change the no thanks. And let people kind of invite them in to browse if they have chosen not to subscribe right off the bat. And I do want this color, but you can see we can also change the background color if we want to for this specific page. And then I'm just going to check my posts and make sure everything is the way I want it. We have more options now for fonts than we used to have. And I think I'm probably going to change mine. I just need to decide. I do like using Enter. It's really easily read. We're going to do this one. You can choose to do colored links instead of underlined if you prefer them to look branded. My branded color is too light against the background here, so I'm just going to leave it as underlined links. Plus now we can actually create colored text within posts, so I don't want the links to be colored and then make it confusing. You can also use drop caps if you want, and that makes this first letter be a little fancier. It kind of looks cool actually, and I might actually use that. And then you can also choose your voiceover here. So this is just the read aloud voice that's on the app. You can choose from their selection of voices. Every post that you don't upload your own voiceover to will automatically have a voiceover on the Substack app. So it's up to you if you would like to choose a voice to read your posts. All right, so we're going to save that one. And I don't know if I have a podcast on this one anymore. No, I do not. I didn't think so. So there are some options you can do with the layout of your podcast page here, but I don't have one on this one. All right, so from here, now I want to show you a little bit more about the navigation bar. So I'm going to click into settings and go to website. Now, remember that before we can add things to the navigation bar or put them into the homepage layout, we do need to have those items created. So I have already created all my tags. They are here. I also have a website that I'm going to add to the navigation bar as well. So once you have the items, then you can add them. The easiest way is to just come down here to your tags and click add to navigation bar. And it has to like save and kind of jump around a bit, and then you just go back and do it again. Okay, so now I'm just going to back out of here because I want to show you something now that I've added all those to my navigation bar. You can see that it's a bit much. Like it just ends up with a drop down more here, and it has all of them. If I had the standard layout with the word mark above, they would all show across the top here, which is fine, but I kind of want it to be a little bit cleaner looking. So I'm going to go into my back into my website here, and this is where I can kind of put everything together. So if I click and hold this and then just drag it. So if I drag it like this, so the line shows, then it's above that. I'm changing the order of it. But if I drag it this way so that it has the box around it and then drop it, now I'm grouping these together, and I'm just going to call these essays. And I'm going to add that. And herbal studies, I'm going to leave as its own category because those aren't essays. They're more, and let's see here. There we go. So click, drag, and drop it into essays, and drop it into essays. And herbal studies is my herb monographs more than just an essay. All right, so now this will look a little bit cleaner. Let's go over here and be a little more personalized than just more. So here I have home, notes, herbal studies, archive, about, and essays. I'm going to shut off my archive just to kind of clean it up a little bit. And let's see how that looks. There we go. All of my archive is in one of these tags anyway that I actually would like to be publicly seen. So I am happy with that. Okay, so here we go. This is my header at the top. It has my newly done navigation bar. Oh, I forgot one thing. I need to add my actual website. So I just copied the URL link and to go back in here to the navigation bar. And this time I'm just going to add item. You can use add item for something that's off Substack or even for one of your posts specifically. If you have a custom page, then you can do the same thing that we did with the tags where you just add the item to the navigation bar. Okay, Okay, so here we have it. I have a custom layout of the header as well as custom colors. I've added some things to my navigation bar. I've made it look the way that I want to. I also have a great hero section that I'm happy with, as well as the body of my Substack, which I think looks great. I love it. And then at the bottom, I have my footer all set up the way that I want it. And that is how you get a custom layout on your Substack. And that's everything for today.